Greetings and welcome to I Don't Get It. This is the Pop Culture Get Off My Lawn Cast. It's the Pop Culture Get Off My Lawn Cast. I'm pretty sure there aren't other ones. This is the one you care about.
I think there are, but none of them use that terminology to describe themselves. You are okay emphasizing the word "the."
Yeah. So this show, if you haven't figured it out by now, which you probably haven't from the name, which is kind of deceptive in some cases still, this features the open-minded musings of two early 50s curmudgeons. And that's the open-minded part. That doesn't seem... The title of the podcast doesn't spell out the open-minded. We have to explain that to people.
See, this is our problem. People see, I don't get it, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, how do you not get this?
Yeah,
and then they haven't listened. So, folks, listeners, Bill and I have a little argument, although we haven't discussed it in a while. I think we should change the name of our show.
So We Don't Get It? Is that what it was?
No, well, there are two reasons. One, I think it's a little misleading. And two, as you know, when we came up with the show, we found 2 or 3 existent podcasts already called I Don't Get It, and they were all defunct. And one of them had been fairly popular, but they hadn't released an episode in a couple of years. And then after we started doing this, they came back.
Yeah. They were inspired. At least we got that to happen.
Yes. Yeah, well, they had to protect their trademark. They're like TiVo.
So my name is Bill Scurry. I'm the founder and proprietor of American Caesar Enterprises, which is an international think tank devoted to working obsessively long hours on the problem of how they fill jelly donuts.
I mean, I have never baked a donut in my life, and I think I can figure that one out.
Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe you want to join the think tank? Do you want to come? Or
no, I do not.
Maybe put us out of business. I mean, we have good real estate somewhere in Langley, Virginia. Yeah. You know, like a whole campus that's designed to just this one problem. Yeah.
Do you remember the commercials for Twinkies where they asked these dumb kids on the playground, like, we asked kids, how did they get the cream inside the Twinkie?
Kind of, maybe.
It's supposed to be cute, and it's not because these kids are little twerps. And I'm like, don't you notice? I mean, I've eaten like 3 Twinkies in my life, and like, don't you notice the little holes in the bottom?
I mean, this is the same people who don't understand vaccines. So, you know, like you're asking a lot about people, you know.
We went to an anti-vaxxer convention to ask, how do they get the cream in the Twinkie? We asked the children of medical frauds. All right, folks, enough of that nonsense.
Okay,
that's our little warm-up. I'm Noah Tarnow. I'm the founder and the senior quizmaster of The Big Quiz Thing, the trivia game show spectacular. This week, oh boy, we are talking about a new album, an artist with a new album. One of the hottest musical forces in popular culture of the last 10 years or so, 15 years or so. Much to my shame, I have not had this is a reminder I've not had my finger on the pulse, but more on that in a bit. Bill, tell us the basics about Mr. Harrison Edward, quote, Harry Styles. I don't think that's his real name. But tell us about Harry Styles, man. New album called Kiss All the Time, Disco... what's it called? Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally?
Yes, that's
it.
Or
Disco All the Time, Kiss Occasionally.
Disco All the Time, Kiss Occasionally. Yeah, you
No, Kiss All the Time. I just started it. Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally. New record released within the past month. 2 new singles, Aperture and American Girls. Harry Styles. Tell us about Harry Styles.
And Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally has a period after time. That's unusual for an album title, is to have a full stop, a caesura in the middle of it.
A comma after disco and another period after occasion.
That's a lot of. You're asking a lot of proofreaders in America to handle this, but I think that you guys are up to it. Really.
We are up to it as a former proofreader. Yes.
So yes,
we can handle Harry Styles' album title.
J. Harrison Danforth Stylesworth the Ninth, Lord of Pensington. No, that's not true. He's a commoner. He's of common birth. He's not.
I believe his full first name is just Harry.
I think it's Harry too. Yeah, he is an Englishman, a Brit from the British English Isles. He's a songwriter, singer, actor, born on 1 Feb. 1994. His career began in 2010 as part of One Direction. Again, I have to say, I too was wholly ignorant of only just the largest of strokes. The fact that he existed on Earth and was 70% water and composed of carbon is just about all I knew of him.
Presumably has 10 fingers and 10 toes.
Right, exactly.
Has that been confirmed?
Shares a lot of, shares a lot of the same DNA as a pig, perhaps, whatever they say about humans, chimpanzees.
He's a lot better looking than a pig, I'll tell you that.
That is true. He's got better tattoos than the pig. So the One Direction was a synthetic boy band that was formed on the English version of X Factor. Well, I mean, that was the show. We imported X Factor later. But One Direction, I didn't realize this. They were cast-offs who didn't make it to the winning thing. And the Simon Cowell apparatus essentially agglomerated them together like Play-Doh, smushed them together and made a band out of these people having this foresight.
And they smelled just as good.
It was Niall, it was Zayn, it was Harry, and one or two other guys. I can't remember, something like that.
And Lewis Tomlinson.
Yeah.
Niall, Liam, Harry, Lewis, and Zayn.
And Harvey Dent. And Basil Carlo, and
Pamela Isley.
So yeah,
I want to see a musical group of Batman villains. I think that would be fun.
They were managed by weird creep and plastic surgery victim Simon Cowell, who you all know from American Idol. After each of the band had, I did not know that it was reconstituted. That is some real foresight, or at least it is a grim sign that you could essentially engineer a sensation out of spare parts and make a thing out of it,
Hey, I believe the best-selling artist to ever come from American Idol was Chris Daughtry, who lost. And then Jennifer, what's her name? She lost and then later got an Oscar. So, the system isn't perfect.
Right. Well, no, but if you put together all these, look, One Direction would have been a success without Harry Styles having a solo career. That's the thing. It's like they put together the right amount of people to have all this shit going on. Anyway. Yeah, so One Direction was one of the best-selling boy bands of all time. They went on hiatus in 2016. I think they were fearing, I don't know whose decision it was. They said it was fearing overexposure. Like, you couldn't, rather than tempt fate, I think they kind of said, like, credibility-wise, their contract with Simon Cowell, whatever that thing is over. They just said, now it's time to do our own thing. So Styles got right into it in 2017, released his first solo album, went to number one. I guess it was apparent he was the breakout early on. So he was able, I think he
Lewis has had a bunch of hits, I believe.
Yeah, okay. What is it, Liam?
Harry's probably, I don't know. Harry's probably the biggest, but again, I'm not paying attention to this.
Well, they're right. The kids were generally, Liam before he killed himself was apparently also...
Liam killed himself?
Or fell off a balcony? Yeah, he died about 2 years ago. He was young. It was a real tragedy.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Liam Payne died.
I think he was on dope and he fell off a balcony.
He struggled with substance and mental.
Yeah, it's weird. It was real tragedy. He
died at the age of 31 after falling off a third-floor balcony in Argentina.
That could, again...
That's sad.
That could have been suicide. It could have been misadventure. There's no way to know.
This guy I've thought of for a total of 30 seconds of my life. I discover he dies and I'm depressed.
No, you're right.
No, it is sad, but, I never thought about this guy before.
So in the first album, you had Sign of the Times was the lead single. And Sign of the... Again, I did not know this song. I played it for the first time.
Not the Prince song.
No, I really love the Prince song too. That's like, I feel it's a little heretical to me because I really enjoy that song.
Not the Bell Stars song.
I don't know that
There's
one.
A deep cut.
That's a deep cut.
Early 80s minor hit.
By the way, Sign of the Times has 1.5 billion views. I believe you're talking about like Psy territory. That's like
on YouTube, you mean?
Yeah, it's like Gangnam Style type playback over there too.
Gangnam Style, first YouTube video to hit 1 billion views.
Yeah, that's up there. Second album was called Fine Line in 2019. Again, that was Watermelon Sugar. That was roared to.
That's the song that I really know from him.
I heard that one. I heard of that one before too. So yeah, that Billboard 100. The kid's rolling at this point. The guy, the kid, the child. Harry's House 2022 broke several records. Grammy Award for Album of the Year. Unbeknownst to me and Noah, single was As It Was. Billboard number one song of 2022.
Harry's House was my favorite children's variety show from the late 70s.
With an animated, Englishman with tattoos all over and weird
clown
sidekick.
Styles. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're on the eve, or it came out already. Kiss All the Time. Disco disco comma occasionally. Is that what it was? No, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Kiss All the Time. Period. Disco comma occasionally.
That's the style book. We're gonna actually.
I can't decide if I love that title or find it incredibly annoying. I'm vacillating between.
When I was copying and pasting to my notes doc, I was like, wait a second, did I miss a carriage return? Like, are there two sentences stitched together? It's like, no, that's the way I had to check it anyway. So he was on Saturday Night Live. If you're listening to this on Monday, he was on Saturday night as the host and the musical guest. First time since, 2022, 26. I forget when the last time he was. And he was also on Saturday Night Live as a bop-on guest during the Ryan Gosling episode a week earlier. And it was played to, during the monologue, it was sort of played to great great effect. They sort of kept cutting to him as if that was overwhelming Ryan Gosling's appeal as a hot, because the one guy who could sort of like override Gosling's sex appeal would be this sex god Harry Styles that the girls swoon over.
I gotta tell you, and I'm sorry to interrupt here. When I watched his SNL monologue, he looked sick.
Sick.
You know, Harry Styles, who is a very beautiful man, he looked ill.
Gaunt? Like pallid?
Yeah, he looked gaunt and unhealthy.
Wan?
I mean, I don't spend a lot of time looking at him, so maybe that's typical for him. But he really looked like not drugged out, but just tired and like kind of pale.
It's funny, but they said that, I mean, he said he'd been on vacation. I don't know. I didn't see it. That doesn't mean it's not true. I just don't read shit.
I mean, he's not a great performer. I take that back. He's a great performer musically. He's not a good speaker. I don't see this guy having, bouncing to an acting career.
Well, no, he does have one though. I mean, he was in he was in Dunkirk in 2017 for Chris Nolan. He was in the Eternals for Marvel Comics. He had a brief bop on. He was going to be Star Fox. It could still happen. Might not happen.
Really? Well, he ain't hosting a show for me anytime soon.
That's different.
His hosting skills, need some work.
His biggest movie was the Olivia Wilde sort of fiasco, Don't Worry, Darling, opposite Florence Pugh.
I've never heard of that.
Oh, it was not a popular movie, but it was an infamous movie. Let's put it that way.
It's not just famous; it's infamous.
Well, he blew up. The scuttlebutt, if you read the Dumois, he blew up Olivia Wilde's marriage. She was fucking around on the set with Harry Styles, and that's what caused her and Jason Sudeikis to blow up. They just had a child, and she apparently went too far. That is what the gossips say, that he was part of it. But it's like, hey, we're all adults here. People do their own thing, whatever. So yeah, he is enormous. I knew he was enormous. My ignorance was mostly based on keeping my distance from it because I knew that the music wasn't going to do anything. And I realized that if I had not organically, quiescently intersected with his art, then my guess is it really would just be pure research to have done so without thinking I'm going to incorporate this in my listening. And it's true. Generally, I knew the size of his phenomenon, not to precise numbers, but it's like this is crazy. This guy could be not quite Taylor Swift, but it's like he might be the only like male equivalent in the music world. He's not equal to Taylor Swift, but it's like there is an equal the shape of the phenomenon, if not the size, is familiar in terms of like what his albums do, how much he's adored by women and gay men. He sort of has a very audacious fashion style, and he makes a lot of jokes, as he did on SNL about. He's not bisexual, but he kind of plays a lot with this idea that he offers bisexual energy.
He is accused of queer baiting.
And it's his own words. Yeah.
Yes. Well, no, that's an established term.
That is true. Well, no, right.
But he will say, like, yes, I'm accused of queer baiting. You know what he has in common with Taylor Swift that annoys me? Taylor Swift's fans are called Swifties, which always struck me as like, you can't come up with something more imaginative.
And his are called Harrys, are they not?
Harrys, which is even less imaginative.
That's a little weak. I'm going to say it's soft.
Stylies would be better. Harry. His name is Harry, so he's Harry's. Their fans are Harry's. It's like if you had fans, they'd be Billy's.
I'd take it. If I had fans, I would take it.
I'd take fans.
I'm not
they can call themselves whatever they want.
I'm not going to quibble what they call themselves. Anyway, I pass the microphone to you, my friend. Yeah. What do you make of Harry Styles?
So this is depressing for me. I feel so disconnected from him. I obviously had heard of this guy, but I had no idea how big he was. I mean, I'd heard of him. I knew what he looked like. I think if you had said name a Harry Styles song, I would have said Watermelon Sugar. And then when I go back and listen to his old stuff, yeah, I've heard some of these songs. I heard Sign of the Times. I heard As It Was. I mean, I didn't process them. I couldn't have told you As It Was a song by Zac Efron.
They were Aural wallpaper along the way.
A song by Harry Styles. And that's the thing. I get him mixed up with Zac Efron for some reason. Yeah, that's my thing. I don't know why. I still think, if you said to me a week ago, who's Harry Styles? The first thing I would have said is he was in One Direction. That's still how I think of him. And if you said name a song, yes, Watermelon Sugar. But before that, I probably would have said, You Don't Know You're Beautiful, which at the time I was stuck in my head for like 2 weeks. So that's still my reference point. And yes, for some reason, I confused him with Zac Efron. They don't even look alike. I've seen Zac Efron in a few movies, but still, I guess because he started in High School Musical, I still have in my head that he was a musician first and springboarded into acting. So these guys have almost nothing, and Zac Efron's American and Harry Styles is British. So I can't believe this. I read the Wikipedia page of Harry Styles. I had no idea how big this guy is, that he's in his 30s already, that he's released 4 albums, that critics loved his earlier albums. They're on lists of like greatest albums of the last 50 years.
By the way, that Wikipedia entry was written with like adoring slavish attention to detail.
Well, of course, but you know, Wikipedia, you could quibble with its tone, but 90% of the time its facts are on point.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah. There are novels based on his work. Here's the detail.
Oh my God.
In 2024, his childhood village of Holmes Chapel, what a British name, Holmes Chapel, launched a 2.5 to 3 hour guided walking tour.
Oh yeah, I read that one too. That's so wild.
I think that's misleading because the way it says the town launched it makes it sound like it's an official town thing, like the people who live there, their taxes pay for it. I bet you it's just one entrepreneur. I bet you it's just one person, some tour guide who goes in, because that's how that crap works.
The Noah Tarnow of England, but yes.
I'm not a tour guide. But, you know, like how in New York there is Sopranos tours and Seinfeld tours and Sex and the City tours and all that crap. So, you know, thank you. I'm depressed that I'm so disattached from pop culture that someone this huge, and yes, he is approaching Taylor Swift heights. I mean, no one's at her level now, but he's definitely in the conversation, and that I know next to nothing about him really underlines how completely divorced I am. Do you know what I read that was interesting? I read on that Wikipedia page various reviews of Sign of the Times, an earlier album, and it was talking about, and it mentioned the review of Rolling Stone, and the Rolling Stone review was written by, I worked for Rolling Stone for 2 years in the late 90s, right out of college. I was assistant to the music editor. So I'm in my early 20s. This guy's in his mid 30s. And apparently he's still writing for Rolling Stone. Or when did Sign of the Times come out? 6 years ago or
17.
17, okay. This guy, my former boss, wrote the review. So, you know, however old he was then, 8 years ago.
It also explains why there's no chance for advancement at Rolling Stone because guys stay in their jobs for 30 years.
Yeah, he was in his mid-50s. Well, I know he left there a few years ago, but maybe he still freelances. Anyway, it shows me how detached I am. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to engage with this. I reviewed his older music, and I got to tell you, I found it pretty bland. Yes, I heard these songs, but they never grabbed me. But they're not bad. There's nothing wrong with them. They're perfectly pleasant. They don't have what I think is the greatest flaw of so much modern pop music. They don't sound overly manufactured. I mean, it's not a dude with a guitar in a barn, but it's fine. It sounds like teams of artists actually put them together. Also, I found his voice to be very, very generic. But in engaging with Kiss All the Time, Disco Come Occasionally, which, by the way, he had a mildly funny joke in his SNL monologue that he came up with that title by asking ChatGPT for the most Italian album title in history. Something like that. I thought that was cute. I like this album a lot. I got to say, from what I can gather of the Harry Styles canon, the Harry Styles oeuvre, this is a major improvement. And I listened to this album like 3 times, and I really enjoy it. I have a little trouble putting my finger on what it reminds me of. This is why I failed as a music critic. But it has a confidence level, a level of daring. It's very sexual, but the kind of not desperate sexuality that so much pop music has. Like, look at me, I'm hot, I'm sexy.
It's kind of, his sexuality is a little bit chaste. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's the thing.
He's
got to keep it in bounds to some degree.
Yeah, but which makes it charming, right? It's not, I still go back to this. I hate the song I Kissed a Girl by Katy Perry, because my whole argument is I don't believe for 1 second she kissed a girl. I think the title of the song should be, hey, you pay attention to lesbians, look at me. And that's on various levels, that's a problem with a lot of pop music. And this sounds like someone who's comfortable in their own skin. The album is very heavy with synths and keyboards. And I'm there's a better reference here, but I can't put my finger on it, but I'm sort of reminded of the early 80s when those kind of instruments were new and simply including them was a bit of a novelty. So, not that these people sound like Harry Styles, but you have people like Howard Jones who perfectly fine pop songs, but they floated a lot on just the fact that there was a keyboard as the most prominent instrument.
And he knew how to use it too. That was his instrument. Yeah.
He wasn't bad. No, he was good.
He's
I saw him
great.
in concert.
He's great. Yeah.
But compared to someone like Gary Newman, who I think took it to a new level, really was a master of that kind of instrumentation. These are odd things to compare it to because I don't think they sound like it, but what it sounds like is a level of using that kind of instrumentation and those kinds of sounds to frame the songs as the language of the songs. And I think it really works well, even though there's nothing here I haven't heard before. They're presented with a confidence I find impressive. Moreover, just, if it's pop music, the litmus test is, did I enjoy this? And yes, I did. Listening to this, I listened to it 3 times. Am I going to buy it? Probably not. But listening to this was in no way a chore, which I found a bit to be the case with his earlier music. At times, I even found it really, really affecting. The last song, Carlos' song, is just heartbreaking. Coming Up Roses is based on strings and piano. He performed that on SNL. Beautiful, lovely song. Some of these songs have terrific melodies. Taste Back is a great pop song. There's a song called Pop that, likewise, very good, very, very well done, very, just what the pop fans want, but not the same thing I've heard a million times, taking the formula and making something good out of it. I didn't like him on SNL. I thought he was not very magnetic. Like I say, he looked ill, but whatever. I've never been a fan of this when SNL had like a musician host and be the musical guest. When I was a kid and I watched that and they did that with Sting and then years later did Britney Spears, it never worked.
Well, they're hoping they're hoping for Timberlake. They're hoping for the sort of triple threat. Ariana Grande is really good at that. Sabrina Carpenter was pretty good at it.
I'd rather have them be the musical guest. The famous story, the first time they did that was with the Rolling Stones in the late 70s.
Oh, they came on.
The Stones were so high they were drunk. And by the way, obscure but story I love. Remember the Knack, My Sharona?
Sure, I do.
So the Knack, went from nobody, the biggest band in the world, to nobody again in a year and a half. And they claim, I saw a documentary about them, the band claims that they had a bad manager who fucked them. He made all these wrong decisions. And they say SNL asked them to be the musical guest when My Sharona was big, and their manager turned it down. He said, we'll only do it if they can also host.
That's awesome.
And SNL said, no, we don't want the Knack to host.
Talk about the balls on that fucking guy.
And the band was like, what's wrong with you? Like, we could have been on SNL. So, I don't know. It's fine. He's not going to be an actor. Who cares? He's a talented guy. He's a beautiful man. I like this album. And by the way, just to be clear, he's not just a voice. He wrote this album. He was, with a team of people, but he was part of the machine. So this guy knows what he's doing, and I'm glad he's out there, and he's, I'm glad this album exists, and good for him.
Yeah, SNL put him on my radar. That's kind of why I pitched it, and I didn't realize that it was based on last week's appearance, again, because it's like I have this blindness to him. It just happens to be the coincidence of him being on SNL, and the album is in the pop culture. That's a good timing for us to just sort of nail this anyway. I think, he is in the thesis of I don't get it. This is exactly the sort. We're deep into his career. We could have done this.
Yeah, but I feel like I did not realize how long he's been huge. I thought he left One Direction 5 years ago and this is his second album. I didn't know.
At least, listening to him in interviews, listening to him talk about music. I didn't listen to the new album. I was just trying, like I said.
Really?
No, I didn't realize it was out already. I went to YouTube and that's all his.
Listen to it on Spotify. It's right there.
I don't have Spotify. I just don't buy into it. I don't do it. That's all right though.
But you're probably better off than me.
I thought that he has packed this many years. So I guess it's been a decade or so, maybe. Yeah, almost a solid decade or so since he started. He's packed it with a lot of business. Like you said, he is a musician. He writes music. He actually
charitable work. He's fashion.
No, but he actually. I think he likes music. It's not just his job. I think that he kind of has a passion for it. Even if this particular idiom, that soulful sort of thing. I think of that. He's a little bit to the side of like an Adam Levine in terms of his like the slim, tattooed guy with a soulful voice who's singing, crooning songs to young teenagers.
Both talented and better looking than that.
He is, but it's like he's not
More
that
talented.
he's not that far away. He's closer to him than he is Tony Bennett or that's what I'm saying. That's more
or Lawrence Welk.
More his thing. And it's like I guess I knew that he also had this kind of like paparazzi tabloid thing that has been going on for a long time too. It's like he has another similarity with Taylor Swift is that he's got this like trail of broken hearts in his wake. He's apparently currently dating Zoe Kravitz, but it's like he has a lot.
Wait, wasn't she married to someone famous?
Yes,
wasn't she married to like Jason Momoa?
No, that was Lisa Bonet was married to Jason Momoa. He was like the stepdad for a while, but no.
He was Zoe Kravitz's stepdad.
Yeah, stepdad. Exactly.
That's right. I thought he was married to her.
No, she was married, but it's like, I was like, okay, this guy, part of his thing is being the tabloid guy where they're trying to get him coming out of a restaurant in London to snap pictures with whomever he's dating at the time, that sort of thing.
But are there stories about him being sleazy, like Adam Levine?
No, that's the thing.
He does like cancer charity work. You get a good impression of this guy.
You assume that if he was out there in the world and there was shittiness, that we would have already discovered it. Even if it had just been like a counter narrative, you would have heard of it. So at least I was pleased that he's not my cup of tea necessarily, but it's like it looks like he's sort of come through this crucible with his soul intact.
Just stop your crying, it's a sign of the times. Welcome to the final show.
Why is Harry Styles so popular? Why is he, ascended to the A-list?
I think we did have to ask. This to me was actually one of the key questions because not really being aware of what he did. Look, his music could have been a fraud. He could have been a paper.
But that hasn't stopped a lot of other people.
And right. And that's the thing is like, it could have confirmed something like a Lana Del Rey where he was made by handlers, people who you handle, that kind of thing.
Who do I handle, Bill? Who do I handle?
Or he could have been somebody who came by curiosity and craft, and a little bit of inventiveness on his own. It's like, look, yes, he's got the tussle-haired boy look from the jump. He had this little boy face surrounded by like Logan Wolverine hair, like this enormous shock. He just was like a healthy tonsorial growth, right? He was like, he looked like a boy because he was 17, but he looked really, really young at the start of it. So he's primed to steal young girls' hearts from the start, but he's got a sturdy enough voice. Apparently he's taking care of it. He backed out for a little while, gave his vocal cords so he didn't just completely blast his ability. He's got a soulful voice, I think. That's what I'm saying. The Tony Bennett thing was more based on, does he croon? No. I think
his voice is the weakest part. I think it's fine, but there's nothing special.
But no, and that's the thing. Like listening to some of his songs, like he did a cover of Tears for Fears, and I thought, which song? Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Yeah. I was listening to it. It was like a live at the BBC coverage, and so he's in a studio. It's almost like the way the Tiny Desk concert does an acoustic thing in NPR offices. This was like you go to BBC and you play in a studio, but it's a live in the round as they're catching it. Everybody's mic'd up, and it's happening as it's like a concert performance and a pretty good sound effect. I'm like, okay, I'm listening to him do Everybody Wants to Rule the World, and it's like, he has good taste. There's covers. He's doing The Chain, Fleetwood Mac with a female singer, and it's like he has good influences, a good taste. And it's like, however, his version of Everybody Wants to Rule the World was not great. I thought it's like it just made it sound like Kurt Smith's voice was so much stronger. That's not a fault of his. That's just you pick this work and it makes it seem a little small in comparison. But he's got a sturdy enough a voice to keep a career up. The Madden crowds like to follow every exploit he has. He seems to have a grip on his sanity, which looks good from the outside. I guess it's like, we're
going to find out someday he has like a dungeon in his house or something.
You know what? If I don't ever find out about it, if it's not like where he's kept people shackled up, you kind of look for are you the man / woman / person for this job? He's covered in the tattoos. He's wearing like the women's blouses. He does the Met Gala things.
Yeah.
He's soulful.
First man to appear solo on the cover of Vogue.
Yep. Women apparently and gay men still stick with him. He hasn't done anything to like throw. Yeah. It's like, I understand why it's popular is because he kind of looks exactly like who should be popular at this moment. This is the mold of the biggest male star. It looks like Harry Styles, if that's axiomatic or tautological. It's hard to say.
I think this is pretty obvious. he's talented, he's beautiful, he's also well marketed. I mean, let's not. I still am a big believer that, to a large extent, things are popular because the people who pull the strings decide to make them popular, right? Obviously, less than pre-social media, pre-internet, but I still think that's a piece of it. And the machine saw the talent and potential in Harry Styles and pushed him to the moon. His earlier music, like I said, I think is nothing special but perfectly pleasant, so that helps him, right? And then, now maybe from my view, he's entering a new stratosphere creatively while still being pleasant. So yes, he was on the cover of Vogue. He's appeared in public in very, I don't want to say traditionally feminine attire because there's nothing traditional about it.
Correct, yeah.
But, dresses and frilly things and things like that. So he's been accused, we said queer baiting. I'm not sure I understand this term. Something I've mentioned on the show a lot. I am very suspicious of the accusations of cultural appropriation because I think culture is appropriation, as long as you are not insulting or, defiling something. I just think, the nature of culture is that different cultures adopt different things from the people they have contact with. Food, clothing, music, art of all kinds. So I believe the accusation of queer baiting is that people use queerness and the coding of queerness and maybe even the suspicion of queerness, right? Like, is he bi? There's been tons of speculation that he's bi, and people make up like that him and Louis Tomlinson from One Direction are really a couple and looking for clues that these guys are romantically involved. And I believe they've never flat out denied it and all that.
He's got no fucking reason to dissemble. That's what I just don't understand.
Right. And he said, what has he said? He said, I don't think I'm bi. I don't know, whatever. The point is, like, even if, I don't know. I mean, queer baiting to me, the downside of it, I read as more like the pink washing kind of thing, or like the companies are like, yay, love is love, happy Pride Month. And then the next month they're giving money to, Republicans, right? Like that, I think is worse. Harry Styles doesn't seem to, I don't see anything to question, at least his allyship, right? Not that I'm queer, but I consider myself an ally. So like, I like that he's out there not, hyper monitoring his masculinity, and he's not afraid to embrace traditional feminine signifiers or go in a direction that in earlier decades would, put you up there with Liberace or Boy George, right? I think that removes a lot of stigma from it. If a straight guy who's a real ladies' man can go out there and wear a dress in public, well, then that breaks down a lot of toxic masculinity. So I think that's good. And why do people like it? Because I think a lot of people want that, right? A lot of people want to break down these walls because these walls are constricting and they're painful. And for some people, they're incredibly painful. So I think he's got a real modern sensibility, a real modern style, on top of just he's talented, he's beautiful, and he's well marketed.
Liberace was gay?
Tastes like strawberries on a summer evening, and it sounds just like a song.
Noah, would I have liked this? No, wait. Would you have liked this as a kid? Better question.
I'd certainly have a better idea of who he was, right? I'd certainly have my finger more on, I mean, again, like with this question every time, younger meaning what? Middle school, high school, college?
Let's put it this way. Right? We would have known the version of him from 1992. Whoever the equivalent of
whoever
him.
the Harry Styles of 1992.
Yes,
right.
yes.
Right. Yes, sure. So what era are we talking about? Look back to when we were in middle school. Look, I was trying to find my place in the world of masculinity. So like so many other people, I, mocked gayness and, oh, look, he's gay. Even though I know for a fact deep down, I didn't have a problem with it and questioned whether I was gay myself and, really did not think it was a problem, but I was trying to fit in. So we would mock people like Bon Jovi and New Kids on the Block. And by the way, the joke we always talk about, I literally heard about both Bon Jovi and various members of the New Kids. Oh, they had to be rushed to the hospital because they had, semen in their stomach, right? And I remember hearing those go, they're gay, good, I hate them, I wouldn't have that level of homophobia now, I don't think. And again, there are the incels out there and they might have sucked me in, but let's hope that would never have happened. More charitably, I think there's a possibility that in any of those ages, I might want to be like him, because I do remember, even though by high school I knew I was straight, like wanting to break down those walls and vocally defending homosexuality and publicly liking the idea of, making people uncomfortable by hugging my male friends, right? So I might look up to this guy and say, damn, Harry Styles, here's a guy like me. He's presumably straight. He's gorgeous. He gets all the women he wants. He's cool. He's talented. He's magnetic. Like, I want to be Harry Styles. Whether I'd like this music, I don't know, but I like it now. I'm not into it, but I like it. And as a kid, if I were a kid now raised in a different milieu, I'd probably have more comfort and familiarity with, music like this. So I don't know. I might really be into him if I were young now. The 1992 version of Harry Styles, whoever that was, I'm sure I was not listening to at the time.
Chris Cornell
Chris Cornell.
Zach De La Rocha was the 1992 version. I don't know.
Was Rage? I feel like Rage was a few years later. Like
no,
the first wave of grunge when we were in high school, I don't think was. It was Nirvana, Soundgarden.
I remember Rage was out when we were going to call 93.
Yeah, Rage I feel like was college.
Yeah. Well, that's 93.
But I'm sure they were around before that, but they just hadn't hit the mainstream.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying.
That's Zach De La Rocha, by the way, folks. He was in Rage Against the Machine.
It's funny, but I think everything you just cited is impetus for perhaps finding him interesting or liking it in some oblique ways. Exactly the kind of stuff that would have boxed me out. Because I maybe this isn't fair, but I sort of like relegate him to sort of teen dream quality, like this kind of, there's something airless and
well, that's how he started, right?
Yeah, I know, but I don't think that he's sort of frozen a little bit in this Lothario thing about you are the graduation choice of a girl looking for a sort of sophisticated 18-year-old guy if you're a 13-year-old girl. He sort of looks like a little bit of the bad boy, but he's going to treat you nicely. He's got a poet's soul. A little bit of the tattoos look a little sleazy. He's not sleazy, but the tattoos and the sort of like deep cut shirts that go to like open to the navel, like that stuff looks a little sleazy. But again, there's nothing about him that is necessarily sleazy. He's designed for an audience of well-behaved young girls, you know what I mean? And gays, obviously, as well. And, that sort of safe-looking rogue, but the rogue part is like not too far into that territory of roguishness. He's got the charm to sort of keep this whole enterprise rolling. The thing, all that stuff would just look to me like the antithesis of what young Bill Scurry would want to listen to, just because I wasn't listening to current music when we were kids, and anything that I did hear that was current, this is exactly the sort of like, there's not enough meat on this bone to have turned my eyes. I would have relegated him as just kind of like pretty boy bullshit. It's like even in his 30s, he still to me looks like it's Tiger Beat type shit, magazine cover stuff. And, I'm not saying he's limited to that, but his image is generally, he knows that. Is he going to make 2112? Is he going to make a concept album like Rush at some point? Probably not, although he could surprise us.
There's a concept-y flavor to this album. I mean, obviously it won't be like 2112, but
when
he
you
might do
tell me he's got the I'm a priest of the temples of Syrinx.
No, of course not. It's not going to be about that, but he might do a concept album about a relationship. Plenty of people like him have done that, right? And it might cohere the way 2112 does. You see everything through that lens, Mr. By the way, folks, the band was initially called Emerson, Lake Palmer, and Scurry. So that explains.
Elps?
Yeah. Elps, yeah.
Welcome to your life. There's no turning back.
Is the rise of Harry Styles. By the way, I used to think Harry Styles in the movie Boys in the Hood, Lawrence Fishburne's character was named Furious Styles.
Yes. Yeah.
Which was such a weird name.
Pretty cool.
I used to think of that when I thought of Harry Styles. Is the rise of Harry Styles in any way a sign of the apocalypse?
No, I was pleasantly surprised to see that his tastes varied. Not in his music necessarily, but the stuff that he covered. I know that it's weird. What is it like? Emerson, Lake and Palmer routinely played what is it? A song from West Side Story, America. That was one of their things. And it's like, okay, that's a weird bit of curation. And Yes would play a Paul Simon, a Simon and Garfunkel song. Like every now and then you'd read about some, like they would incorporate a song from outside, and it said this is their hero. They're playing, even after years, they would play their hero songs as part of their own repertoire. And the fact is that he plays Fleetwood Mac, Peter Gabriel, Tears for Fears, Lizzo.
Wait, what Peter Gabriel song is he playing?
He did Sledgehammer. He did, you can find it. There's another BBC recording of him doing
Sledgehammer. He did Sledgehammer, really?
Yeah. And the thing
That's
is,
cool.
Not only that, but he has a band. Like, yes, he's got a factory of people who are essentially hacking his songs out. But if you look for any live performance that he does, it's his band. It's the same band. It's a female drummer, female keyboardist. Like that's cool.
It's got the same sort of backing vocal choir thing. Yeah, no, I watch them on SNL. They know their shit.
Yeah, again, it's not just session guys that they pull sharpshooters out every time and put together whatever it is without, it's like, he's not cutthroat about it. It's like, he makes this music to be played for by these same people. That to me is, I don't know, that's a bit of health in terms of his taste. And
it's not just a computer.
Correct.
A computer pumping out, an algorithm with him singing over it.
Yeah, his music is not bad at all. It's not. It's his lane of soulful singing about the ladies is not what I've ever listened to. I don't think I have any of this in my music repertoire. But I mean, however, that choice, the sort of like thing that he's focused on, all the watermelons, sugar of the world. That's like you saying you're a gold miner and like you got there and you hit the Comstock load. If you're good at it and you keep at it and that's your discipline, it's like this guy's going to have a fucking long career of writing the same 7 songs over and over again with slight musical variations. Not a sign of the apocalypse, though.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, anytime someone I think is talented does well, I breathe a bit of a sigh of relief. And like you said, a band. Like I fear for the day where it's just a fucking computer making all of our art. So
or just an anonymous transferable hacks. Not even just
we're already there 60%.
Yeah,
right.
No, you're right.
So this is the 40%, right? This is the apocalypse for me because there might be an example I'm not thinking of bigger, but I feel like in all the episodes we've done of the show, this is the clearest sign of popular culture no longer applies to me. The greatest gulf between my lack of knowledge and the size of this guy's influence.
That is absolutely fair.
Right?
Yes.
We've looked at a lot of people who I didn't know much about, a lot of people I didn't know much about who were pretty big, but this is the biggest person I knew the least about. And it's really emphasizing how just I'm getting farther and farther away. And that's just not just depressing, but it's a problem for my work because it's on me to keep on top of what young people know or what people in general know. And when I'm 80 years old, hopefully I won't have to do this job anymore. Let me say hopefully, but I might enjoy aspects of it because I'm going to get less and less qualified to do it. So forget I said all this when I plug my company at the end of the show.
Holding you back, gravity's holding you back. I want you to hold out the palm of your hand.
We're going to talk about our last 2 segments, jealousy and the Felonian scale. So how is this guy, just pick your choice of whatever fucking jealousies. I'm sure he inspired a million of them with this fucking guy.
I mean, I am jealous of him in every conceivable way.
I mean, really, it's a healthy reaction. Really.
This dude has it made. I mean, he even said like he had a wonderful childhood,
That's right. Fucking asshole.
Right. And I'm even more jealous. Like he sucked on SNL. My dream as a kid was to be on SNL. So I'm like, really? This guy gets to host SNL? I mean, I'm ignoring how fucking talented he is as a musician and just how famous, because that's the main qualification. But I'm like, oh, please. Like, I just also like, look, the embracing of not alternate sexuality, but the lack of fear about, letting your masculinity guard down. As much as I leaned into that more times as a kid, I still have that anxiety and still do to some extent. And he has no fear of that. Would I appear a dress on the cover of Vogue? I mean, probably if my PR agent said I should, but I don't know if I'd like it. I don't know if I'd want to look at the photos. I don't know if I have enough confidence in my own masculinity for that. So, that's a flaw on my part. So, yeah, in every conceivable way, I wish I were fucking Harry Styles, but not literally fucking him. You know what I mean? Fucking as an intensifier. I wish I were Harry Styles. If I had to sleep with a man, Harry Styles would be high up on the list. So God, please, in the next life, make me Harry Styles.
Yeah, the fact that he's a slick little customer who doesn't seem to fuck up with big mistakes. I don't know if people think that some of the relationship stuff was shitty. Again, I didn't read any of that. I didn't go deep on it, but nobody said that he was like a masher. He wasn't slapping women around or, not leaving tips at restaurants, apparently.
Yeah, he gets to enjoy the fruits of being a ladies' man without, because he's played the game right?
Yeah. Well,
he proves it's not that hard.
Right, exactly.
Get laid a million billion times and not be considered a creep. If you got the magic touch, or if you're just a nice guy.
Maybe he's just not naturally a monster. Imagine what that would be like.
What are the odds?
What are the fucking odds? Yeah, I like some of the fashions are regrettable to me. I mean, not that they're women's clothing or what is coded as women's clothing. They're just it's like that kind of stuff isn't like I would have a different draft as a pop star if it were me. No, I would be dressed differently than the sort of like weird spangly clown suit and the giant neckties and the see-through blouses. And
although I do want to see you in that. I think that would be fun.
We'll get there at some point.
Yeah, you know what? You want to give me a birthday gift? Do like a photo shoot with that,
with a Harry Styles
and a frame picture of you in a frilly clown suit, and I'll hang it on my wall.
So the guy is in a real alpha male position, with his art, his romance. He's also ungodly rich on account of all these things, and it's like pick your spot. What else? Find something you're not jealous about with this guy. Okay, now we're going to go right into it. And what about, how do you rank it among all the stuff that we looked at?
Yeah, so, I thought of a recent pop star we looked at, which is Rosalia. Rosalia. Now, Rosalia isn't as big as Harry Styles, but I appreciated her creativity, right? I mean, a little farther afield than Harry Styles, but I appreciated it. So I said 3/4 of Rosalia times 1/2 of Taylor Swift, right? Divided by, because we got to get the tattooed, sleek, sexy man in there, Adam Levine, but so much better than Adam Levine, plus 42.312. And that's where you arrive at Harrison F. Stylowitz. Stylenthal.
Yeah, Hillel Harrison, Stylberg.
A lot of Jews named Harry.
Oh, a lot of them.
Harry's my great grandfather was Harry. I wonder what his real name was, though. I mean, he came here from the old country.
Oh, yeah.
What his real name was.
Yeah.
He was Harry by the time he was here.
This is decent pop art. I will never consider again, and I'm going to rank him according to my assessment of not necessarily how big he is in life, but what I thought of him as. Again, this is purely in our ranking and our schema here. They're not a knock against him, an indicator of this gigantic earthen mound of culture that we've looked at since the beginning of time. In the search of podcasting excellence on this show that we do, I comp him somewhere between Mr. Beast for the size of his thing, without even not the size of his thing. You could take that the wrong way. The size of his phenomenon, his sensation, and the Fast and Furious, which has been immensely popular, but I don't fucking like that art. I don't think those are real movies. I don't get it. They're not for me. But I can't deny sort of how big they are. So there you go.
All right, Bill. That's it. Let's say goodbye.
I can't believe I said the size of his thing. I'm glad I caught that. Anyway, yeah.
The size of Harry. You're not the first one to talk about that.
Yeah, not the first podcaster to talk about that. You guys want to find past episodes, look on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Soundcloud, Google Play, on Blue Sky, at Noah and Bill Show.bsky.social. Write to us using a quill pen or a fountain pen filled with India ink. At Noah and Bill Don't Get It at gmail.com. Reviews, we love them too. Give us reviews on the aggregators. That's great. On Blue Sky, you can find me at billscurry.bsky.social, at Liam Scurry on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and the Rumble and all these great places that people suck. I fucking hate this shit. YouTube.com/AMCaesar is where you find my video work, and the video component of this podcast lives there as well. Yes, so where can people find you?
Go to bigquizthing.com and learn about the Big Quiz Thing, America's premier provider of corporate and private live trivia events nationwide, worldwide. I'm busy, dude. Just did an event for a Women in AI conference, working on a New England themed event right now. We got our first ever event in Wisconsin coming up. You mentioned the name Hillel International, the college-age Jewish group. We got an event coming up for them. So a lot of fun stuff happening. So find out how you can get the Big Quiz Thing part of your event. Also, hey, we're doing a bat mitzvah tonight. We did a couples casual party last night. We do a little of everything. So bigquizthing.com, learn about what we're doing, how you can take part in the fun, and check me out from time to time on Instagram at the Noah Tarnow.
All right, everybody. So until the next episode, when we kiss once in a blue moon and disco till the cows come home,
we don't get it.
A production of American Caesar Enterprises 2026.